Hi again, everybody. As Georgia gets ready for Missouri on Saturday, we hope, cross your fingers. We're going to try this one again. And Kevin is here and Eric is here. And we're going to take a look at what the Bulldogs in Missouri kind of look like this weekend. And now all of a sudden, guys, we've got two ranked teams in the top 25. Georgia's been there for a while. Missouri has worked their way into the top 25 this week. They've won 3 in a row and 5 of the last 6. They're probably playing a lot better football now than they were when we were originally scheduled to play them in mid-November. Eric, we'll start with you. What are your initial thoughts on this matchup?
Well, they definitely are playing better now than when we initially were scheduled to play them. The good news is, so are we. You know, we've come out and we've found a quarterback, and I think we're going to need it. Really, you look at Missouri; they are a physical football team. They play hard. Defensively, they're really playing well, and that's what's helped them get onto this winning streak. And when you look at teams and how they've responded this year to the adversity and to all of the change, and really the programs that have kept their teams together and locked in and focused on play, and that's really who's elevating right now. And those other teams that you think about, South Carolina and the Vanderbilts that have really lost the locker room, it almost feels like. Don't know if that's the case for sure, but it sure looks like that from the outside. But those teams that have held it together are starting to play well and elevate, and I think these are two of the programs that have done just that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Eric's right on there. You know, Missouri's just having fun right now playing football, and if you're winning, you're having fun, and if you're losing, you're one of those teams where you don't know if you're even going to play. You might have guys opt out, so their excitement right now creates a big problem for Georgia because they're playing well. They're confident. They're going to be at home. The conditions will be kind of in their favor. And, that offense is very potent. But I think what Eric said is their defense has really come on. Very good defense on third down against the third down conversion. So it's going to be a great challenge. It'll be the best team Georgia's faced probably since Alabama.
You mentioned the conditions, Kevin. Let me ask you about that because you played in Chicago for a long time and a lot of bitterly cold weather. And I don't know how bitterly cold it's going to be Saturday, but it's going to be cold, and there's a pretty good chance of some kind of precipitation. What is that like for a player? Do you have to have a different mindset for that? Does it affect the game? Does it affect the ball and kicking? And Z, you and I have talked about the wet football, the hard, cold football, and all of that stuff. How does that all factor in?
Yeah, I think it certainly does. I think you have to embrace it. And as crazy as it sounds, you have to look forward to going out in some tough conditions. That's nothing that you practice in, but you go out and you have fun. I mean, that was the one thing I think when I was in Chicago, and Eric can tell you the same thing about Cleveland. If you don't embrace it, it's a long day, and it's just another factor that you don't need to combat. You've got enough to combat at your position, knowing what your assignments are, the challenges you have on each play. The last thing you need is to challenge yourself in between plays because of weather, because of conditions. It's only going to be 3.5, 4 hours you're going to be out there. Go out there, embrace it, and have a great time. It's one of those memories where you look back and you go, man, you remember that game against Missouri? It was cold as heck, and we had a good time. We did our job, but it does start, Scott, when you get on that plane, you start thinking about playing the game in any condition.
Yeah, Kevin is spot on, and it does have impact. I mean, from a quarterback's perspective, when it gets cold, that football, it gets slick. It's hard to grip. It's hard to throw. Normally, the football has a tackiness to it that really allows you to spin it well and put it where you want to. Even when it rains, it's not as bad as when it gets really cold, and just that football gets so hard, it gets so slick. It makes a difference, and you have to make adjustments that really in how you throw the football, and it has impact on the receivers that are catching it as well. So it can have impact, especially when you don't practice in that kind of weather. The good news is we've had some pretty cold weather here that the Bulldogs have been able to go practice in and get acclimated to it. If this were, if you're the Miami Dolphins and you're going up the first time to go play Buffalo, that will shock the system. The Dogs at least have had some cold weather to get ready, so I think we'll be prepared for it. And like Kevin said, you have to go have fun with it, because it's not often that you get a chance to go play a football game where it may snow and you're playing in really cold weather. That kind of a memory will stay with you for a long time.
The quarterbacks in this game are kind of front and center. JT Daniels for Georgia and Connor Bazelak for Missouri. How do the conditions affect what they do? Will we see a glut of running plays? Because both teams certainly like to do that too. Good ground games for both teams.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Missouri stick to their game plan. I mean, it's their home. It's their conditions. They're not going to go out there and try to do something different. What they're doing right now is pretty balanced. About 160 yards on offense on the ground and matching it with another close to 300 during the air. I think they're playing too good right now to change what they're doing. I think they're going to try to improve on what they're doing. And I would expect the same kind of game plan, aggressive game plan on offense. And then as Eric said, I mean, they're just a tough defense. We've never gone up there and, dominated them. It's always been tough. I mean, the first 2 years they were in the league, I mean, they jumped in front of everybody in the East. So the respect is there from Georgia. And I think you respect them so much that they're going to play their game.
And on Georgia's side, again, the good news is that our offensive philosophy really fits to play in cold weather. We want to run the football. We can still throw the football down the field vertically. You just have to get acclimated to it pretty quickly. But I don't think you'll see much change in terms of, unless we've got horrendous conditions. Right. I mean, you're in a blizzard and it's windy. Unless that happens, if it's just cold and snow is falling, I'd almost rather it to be snowing than just bitterly cold. I'd rather that snow to come down. It just changes kind of the dynamic of the game. But I don't think we'll see much change at all from Georgia schematically and what we want to go try to do. Cold weather, warm weather, we want to go do the same thing.
Yeah, I tell you, the funny thing is you talk about what condition is the worst. I know Eric's played in some coldness. I played in sub-zero. There's nothing worse than raining and 33. It's just absolutely, that's the one that's the toughest, I think, to just embrace. Just as you say, I'd rather it be a blizzard. I'd rather it be 10 or 20 below, but that cold rain right above freezing might be the worst.
All right, guys, what's the carrot on the end of the stick for this game? There's not a championship in sight for either of these teams. Is it just the pure nature of competition and wanting to win and wanting to finish strong? Is that the thing dangling on the end of the stick?
Yeah, from a program perspective, I think it absolutely is. You as competitors, as athletes, you want to go compete. You want to go win. You want to look across the field and say that we are a better football team than anybody else around. And you're starting to work right now for 2021. You're laying that groundwork because that does carry over. And, every one of these young men, they come to Georgia to win football games. There's no good a part of it. They come to get an education, but they're coming on the football field. They are coming to play, to compete, and to win. And there's a pride about that. And that's what Coach Smart and this entire staff is talking about, is play to our standard.
Yeah, I think, the 8-2 record that we've kind of been eyeing, whether we get that additional game in, we'll certainly have a bowl game. But I think 8-2 is important for this team. I think, as we look in the growth that we've had this year, the new players we've had, the things that we found, 8-2 would be acceptable. And I think it's acceptable to the people within that locker room. And another big thing is this creates excitement for next year. We had a big signing commitment this past week. Next week is signing week. This is a big, big game for the University of Georgia. Your last chance to make an impression on some pretty big recruits out there. You want them to see and know that you're going in the right direction. So I think this is an awful, awful important game for Georgia as it plans to build the program and get into next year. You got to have this one this weekend.
Well, I think we're going deeper than we've ever gone into the regular season into the month of December. Usually at this point, you're starting to think about bowl game and preparation and practices and all of that. But Georgia, at least on the schedule, still has 2 games remaining. And hopefully we get to play both of those. And Eric, do you want me to tell you guys what Georgia's record is all time at Missouri, or you want me to hold off on that one?
No, we've got to hold off on that one. We can only talk about it after the game, or just don't do it maybe in my presence.
Okay.
And we'll be okay.
Okay, well, it's in the I think it's in the notes here, but you can read it on your own, I guess, if you want to. Guys, great to see you as always, and thanks for your insight, and we'll see you on the weekend.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
All right, don't forget, radio broadcast starts at 8 a.m. with Kevin and Jeff, Dog Talk pregame, and then the tailgate show from chilly, perhaps frigid Columbia, Missouri at 9 a.m. Eastern from Faurot Field, and then kickoff at noon for the Bulldogs and the Missouri Tigers. We hope to see you on the radio. And like they said, go Dogs.